My turn.
Hello everyone, sorry I'm late. I was playing some of that Red Dead Redemption 2 online for the very first time. Currently trying out that version since it's available and the game is absolutely insane. But that's not of course what you came to hear. We want to talk about Lost Ark, the action massively multiplayer online game recently released for open beta in Korea. The game that received so much traction over the last month from content creators and Twitch streamers, and you're probably wondering if it's actually worth its salt. Well, let's discuss. First off, let's talk about the player versus environment and the pacing of the game overall. The leveling in Lost Ark is incredibly well paced. Reaching max level will take you anywhere from about 25 to 50 hours total. Just focusing on the main quests will blaze you through the levels within 1 to 29 being a breeze, and the leveling really only stagnating during your level 30s, but then picking back up once you reach 40 to end game. Side quests in this game also matter as they give you stats that can be used for unlocking the ability to gain affinity with NPCs such as the goddess, as well as the quests/engagement you could not unlock otherwise, such as islands for instance. It's very important that you go back to complete these after you've had some time to settle down at max level or on your journey to that point. Unlike most Korean games and MMORPGs in general, Lost Ark is not based around standing at a grind spot and grinding your eyes out for hours. In fact, trying to grind mobs in this game is probably the most inefficient way to get experience for leveling. This game features a much more relaxed and engaging experience. Moving on to its cinematics and graphics, it's absolutely breathtaking. There are so many areas in the game you will come across and think, my god, they really put their heart and soul into this. The attention to detail is spot on, simply bliss water textures, amazing level design, day and night cycle, different weather system on the open sea, fire particles, the flora, the lighting and interiors. Everything about this game looks incredible from the ground to the skyboxes, whether you're zoomed in or not. The combat is also a really great part about this game. You really feel the impact and as if your character is in the middle of an actual war or a battleground every time you pull out your weapon. Grade A sound effects for enemy hit detection, there's gore, there's so many skills and upgrades to choose from with the game's tripod system, which I love so much. They also give you a free skill preset at the start of the game, which is great. Every class and subclass even feels super unique in its own right. Sure, it may start to feel repetitive and start becoming familiar after a point because like I said, at level 30 you start to get a stagnant in your leveling, but it's a combat system that keeps you engaged while making sure you feel rewarded the whole way through, unlocking skills and tripod progression all the while. At endgame, the ultimate skills alongside your endgame skills and upgrades change the class field by quite a bit. Highly recommend trying out all the classes and skill you can for this very reason. You'll probably find that the class you least expected to enjoy might end up being your most favorite. Moving on to the features of the game, there's so much offered here for what you can do. At endgame, the entire other world of Lost Ark opens up, and quite literally. First, you've got the Guardian raids that feel incredibly inspired from the likes of Monster Hunter, just like the Warlord Gunlance class that they have in this game as well. The Guardian raids are where you go into a large map with 3 other players to hunt down some of the biggest and baddest boss monsters. You get 4 lives total, and if any one player or if all players collectively die that many times, you fail. You've also got regular dungeons and hard mode dungeons, which is also a great way to get gear early on at endgame. Chaos dungeons are a different type of dungeon that you can only do 3 times a day, unless you receive a +1 ticket from various ways, alongside an event special chaos dungeon that's randomized each day with the buff for either the boss or the mobs. For this one, you can only enter it depending on how many tickets you get. Gear progression through PvP, crafting, exploring islands, which we'll go into a little bit later, field bosses, and more. One thing we'll have to talk about as well is PvP, a usually sought after topic. The PvP in this game is not only instance-based as some may seem, but it's not completely open world either. So to begin with, there's instance PvP in the form of 3v3s, which is my personal favorite, 1v1 tag team matches similar to Blade and Soul, and free-for-alls. Outside of that, you've got certain islands that are open world PvP based in which you don't get penalized for attacking anyone. If you want to start a huge war, you can certainly do that. There's no Guild War system yet, however there will be an island building system, a form of housing, alongside a battleground called the Similian Battleground. Can't wait for that to come out. This game has some of the best PvP I've experienced. Taking the combat of this game and putting it into an arena where we can put each other to the beatdown is an incredible experience. From rank 20 to 1 in PvP was a hell of a journey, and I can't wait to take it on again on another character. It's also really easy to progress gear-wise through PvP as well. One of the things that adds innovation to this game is the islands. So if you haven't already seen it, this game opens up into the true open world around level 30s to 40s in terms of levels, and you unlock your first ship. Some of the main quests will lead you through certain islands to introduce you to certain mechanics like the hearts of the island. But at first glance it might not seem too in-depth or something that would really impact your gameplay experience. It more seems like a luxury rather than a full-fledged game mechanic. Well, I'm here to tell you that things are not what they seem. In Lost Ark, when you reach the end game, you should have already and you will receive a lot of purple quests that will lead you to some of these islands to begin doing quests. But you'll find that you can actually find other quests on these islands that will unlock dailies and require you to do certain prerequisites to unlock other islands, and the currency called Heart of the Island that you can redeem for great rewards, including good gear that you can upgrade just like raid gear, crafted gear, PvP gear, etc. These islands are unique in their own right, and not just to go here and do 60 quests to unlock the heart and then you're good. Most of these islands really challenge you to figure out what the requirement is to unlock the heart. Some may even require you to do quests where you farm mobs or gather items, it's true, but some may require you to open like 100 pots until you find the lucky golden one with the item you're looking for. One in particular even requires you to kill literally hundreds, if not hundreds of chickens. Something to note as well is that there's a chicken boss. Enough said there. Islands are something that are much more than they seem, and there's so many of them. Not just that, but we start on the eastern continent when we first begin the game. Already there's a good deal of islands there, but you can actually unlock the western sea too. After obtaining 15 hearts of the islands and completing a prerequisite quest, you will unlock the ability to travel there and explore those incredible islands, some of which only spawn at certain times of the day too. Alongside Chaos Gates, which we haven't mentioned yet, but could be described as basically an open world void dungeon where you enter alongside 29 other people to take on whatever may lay inside for good rewards. In conclusion, Lost Ark seems to be one of the most innovative action MMORPGs I've ever seen. There's so much to this game to see and experience, a lot of which we didn't even go into, like the tripod system, the cube dungeons, the tower, which is basically like a solo gauntlet style mode, and platinum fields for gatherers that caters to crafters as well. If you haven't tried this game, I highly recommend giving it a shot at some point. It's absolutely worth it whether you're trying the Korean version or the Western version when it reaches us. Smilegate does so much of this game right. The only things I could really even consider to be bad for the general public is the fact that it's a big grind. But of course, those types of games aren't for everybody. When you reach the end game, the real grind begins, which could be seen as a con for some people, but a huge pro I can say along with that is you're not limited by time-gated content. Speaking of which, I don't know why previous MMORPGs have made it to where you could only engage in certain content at certain times of the day, but that is something you do not need to worry about in Lost Ark, aside from some field bosses, certain islands, and chaos gates that you could easily substitute for other content. You don't even have to worry about them at all. The cash shop is also incredibly tame to what could have been there. The first few days on Reddit, there was a thread that popped up roaring that the game was pay to win because the cash shop costumes, for instance, give you stat bonuses, and that the shop allows you to convert to player-made currency. But there's a different type of currency called shillings that you would actually use to upgrade your equipment, trade with NPCs, things like that. That's the way more important one to go for. And I'm here to tell you that in terms of the cash shop costume, the one stat it does give you is called Charm. That very same stat is the one we talked about earlier that you earn from side quests to unlock the ability to gain affinity with NPCs such as the Goddess, and unlocking certain quests on islands for rewards as well. However, with the Goddess especially, you still need to grind for the 3 other stats: knowledge, ferocity, and charisma, or kindness. So if anything, it's only a way to bypass one specific part of what still ends up being a grind that everyone has to do that's interested in that type of thing. Also, card battles are sweet. If I had to price the game in an honest way, I'd say that it being free to play with its current cash shop or buy to play being priced at about $20 to $30, with the same cash shop, or a subscription model of $15 a month with or without the cash shop would be great for the Western market. Best though would be the free to play with the current cash shop it's already got though, for sure. But I'd say paying $40 in terms of a buy to play game would be a bit too much for any MMORPGs with the cash shop, and despite this game being very good, it still might be a big stretch. For some final thoughts, the netcode of the game feels very good. With the VPN we use, exit lag, you hardly ever feel like you're using one. The game is incredibly responsive. Only cons I could see for the general public as well that might mind the game is that the controls might be hard to get used to at first. It's right and mouse click mainly, but you should be able to rebind some of those at least to make it a little easier. and figuring out what you need to do in-game is probably not going to be clear at all once you reach it, and the fact that it's isometric. Some people just don't like the fact that it's an isometric game and they prefer third person, which is completely understandable. But that being said, 2 out of those 3 things can be avoided or rectified very quickly. And the last one, if you don't like isometric games, completely understandable like I just said. The content, as I said before, could probably start to feel a bit repetitive down the line for some people, but it does make you feel rewarded as you reach that new milestone or take down that next tier of raid boss. But just wait till we get to the big baddies, by the way. Now that's going to be a fight. But if I had to rate this game out of 10, I can say with confidence and not letting my excitement get to me that it's a solid 9.2 out of 10. This game just offers so much more than what we've been getting the past few years. Imported rehashed garbage or dumpster fires on release that end up being either really decent or semi-decent later on. This game takes that to a new level and feels like when it reaches our market, it's going to help a lot with spearheading the future. Gives hope that maybe this MMORPG genre isn't lost at all. Let's hope it reaches our shores smoothly within the next few years. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions about this game, be sure to join the Lost Ark Discord, and I'll also be leaving information links in the description below to help you get started. Hope you have a wonderful night or day, and I'll see you next time. Also, be sure to let me know your thoughts about the game. I'd love to know it. If you have any comments or questions, concerns, go ahead and leave them below, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.